Hello boys and girls, gents and women, this is Brown Boy Chronicles, a collective of 4 brown boys bringing you the latest updates about life, hot takes on music and fashion, mixed with some clown behavior, and overall just good vibes. Hope y'all enjoy and appreciate y'all tuning in. Enjoy, fam.
Welcome back to Season 6, Episode 2. This is KB.
This is Harvey.
This Lucky?
Bro, you didn't really get dark, yo. How's your trip? Like, is it not, how's India?
Yo, that's what I want to know. Like my skin, I thought I would come like get tan, but it was not having it. And I was out in the sun for like
Was it not hot there?
I mean, it was like in 90s. Like it was like we actually went in a good
That's
like
pretty hot.
yeah, dead ass. Like, but it wasn't like hot to the point where it was like unbearable. Like I was out in the sun too, and I thought I would get much darker like when I would go to the beach for like 5 days, like senior week. I got hella fucking tan, but this trip out, my skin was just not having it. Even my sister was like, "You look the same."
Were you wearing sunscreen?
Nah, they actually confiscated that like at the fucking TSA. I bought like a $15 bottle of Neutrogena. That shit was like actually mad expensive, and the lady fucking took it out.
You gotta put it in your
Yeah,
suitcase.
you can't take more than 3.5 ounces, like carry
Yeah,
on.
I didn't realize that. I just like threw it in my bag last minute, and then I completely forgot about it because they like did my additional security check on my carry-on because I had contact solution and that she let me keep the contact solution, but the Neutrogena sunscreen, she was like, "Nah, I'm sorry." Like, all right, it's fine. But might have been the best trip I've had so far in my life. It was very interesting because like I got to reconnect with like extended family that I hadn't seen in 20 years. And that was just like more so like on like emotional shit and all that. But like other than that, just like I had like memories. I don't know when you guys have been like in the past. Like I know you went in college like your junior year or like sophomore year, but before that, I don't know like when you went again. But like I hadn't gone back since 2005, so I still had memories of being a kid and seeing the Pind and the Gulliya and all of this. But then going back, seeing all of that again, it was just like a mind fuck because everything when I was little seemed so big. Like maybe it's because I was little and then I was just like taken away from that environment. But like even where we were living and like going from my house to my Tayaji's house, like it felt like a long walk. But now, like as I'm older and then I went back, the distance hasn't changed, but it was just around the fucking corner. So shit like that was like throwing me off and like just seeing my old house, like how like not small, but like how we like lived in that like cube when I was little, it seemed so fucking huge. Like not that it's like small by any means, but like it's it seemed considerably bigger than what it is actually. So that was just like such a mind fucking. Did you feel that way, Rinku, when you went back? I don't know. You went back in 2015 or 14, but like I don't know when prior to that when you went back.
Yeah, I went in 8th grade, and then whatever, I went in college.
Okay, so not that
Um,
much difference. What about you, KB?
Man, I haven't been since like 7th or 8th grade too.
So do you still have memories, right? Because like mine was like fifth grade, but like
Oh yeah, I can I can tell you exactly from like I know all of Adhampur, where we live to Arjanval. Like I give me a scooter, I'm riding around real quick.
yo, it's kind of wild how they have no traffic lights and it's just like you gotta use like fucking awareness to the max degree. Like how like it's just like
but
driving there.
nobody's like speeding, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, yes, it's still dangerous and it's chaotic, but it's not like you're going like 80 miles per hour and like have to be fully aware. It's like you're going like 10, 15, 20 miles per hour and like just like cutting through people and cutting through traffic and shit.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Because I remember one there was like these two kids on a scooter and a motorcycle crashed in the road. I saw they just like literally crashed in together and they just fell and they just got back up and then went on their own way. Like I was like, what the fuck? And my parents were like so shocked. And they're like, yo, this is what's wrong with like the generation of motherfuckers not paying attention. One was on the phone, but like everyone was like unscathed and they just went about their day. Over here, I feel like you gotta do your due process. You gotta go talk to the insurance. Like if something's like scratch, but over there, like just a fucking scooter, no one gives a shit. Like I honestly like that a little bit more than over here, where like I mean, I don't know. What would you guys prefer? Do you guys like the American style of driving, where like insurance and all that other shit, or like Indian style, where like it's a little slower pace, but like it's kind of I like the scooters, bro.
Scooters are a vibe, yo.
Yo, for real. That's what
I
I'm
love.
saying.
Did you drive one yourself?
No, my parents wouldn't let, like, my Taiji wouldn't give me his. He's like, nah, nah, nah. Like,
Oh my
I
god, bro.
wanted to.
You're like
You.
28.
That's what I'm saying, yo. It was so annoying. I'm like being coddled at like I didn't want to go off on my parents in front of like my family, but like I was getting so annoyed. By the tail end of it, when my cousin came and he was like showing me around, I was like cool with it. But I don't know. That was like the only downside of not having people my own age, because
You
like
just gotta do it at that point.
motherfucker, how am I gonna do
Yeah,
it? Like
facts. You just like run out. I mean, that's what I did when I was in Gujarat. I would just sneak the keys, and me and my brother would just be out. And we just disappear to the mall and shit. And then like nobody would know where we went. And then we come back and we just take the beating or take the yelling. And then it's just repeat due process again next day.
It's better to not ask for permission and do it because you don't care as much after you do it, like about like the argument. Before, like you're arguing with your parents, like you're like before you even do the act, and you're like you care about it more because you actually want it, you know. But after you
Yeah.
do it, you don't care. You already did it, so it's like whatever.
It's like the saying's like better to ask for forgiveness than for permission or some shit like that.
it wasn't even forgiveness or permission. It's just like I know how my parents are, and like I want the trip to be enjoyable for them too. So if I do that, they're just gonna be so concerned about me and not actually enjoy theirs. So it's like a fucking guilt trip, mind fuck in a weird way where I know I want to do all of this shit, but I just like sacrifice it because like I know they're just gonna be so concerned and they're not gonna be at peace until like I'm back in their sight. So it's like weird, but
Bro, your parents did the same shit when they were younger, probably. Like you just gotta understand. At this age, your parents are just gonna go to relatives, sit there for ja, and that's about it. Go to like 5 different relatives, and then maybe clean your house, and that's it.
we just sat at Matayaji's house and like go to our house, just clean it up and just like because we're trying to rebuild our house or just like add on to it. They want to like rent out our house, but I was like kind of against it, but this is a different story. But like yeah, we like the first 2 weeks it was just mostly exploring Punjab. Like we went to Chandigarh, Jalandhar, Amritsar. I literally saw all of Punjab. So I was just with them. We had a driver and they were like showing me around. But outside of that, yo, speaking of that, this is like what I noticed about Punjab. Like, no one gives a fuck about Amritpal over there. Like over here, the media painted such a image of like, it's mad dangerous out there, cops everywhere. Like, it's like sketchy times. But over there, n- everyone's just living their life. Like, yeah, like they're searching for Amritpal, but like you don't notice like there's like a fugitive on the loose. Like you don't like see Punjab police like going up the ante, like raiding or doing anything. Like
That's because they already captured him.
no, 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 no. They captured like one of his
They didn't
drivers. He's
capture him. He like gave himself up.
oh, he
I
did.
thought I thought the media was saying that they didn't capture him, and then they captured him. Like secretly, there was like a video, like a film that was like circulating, like that they actually captured him, but like the the news was saying like, oh, they didn't capture him because they just wanted to be like on the hush hush.
I'm pretty sure they didn't capture him.
He did like a whole like thing, like a speech and like
Oh,
whatever.
after that, after like the initial like reaction and the blackout
Yeah,
happened.
and then he like gave himself up himself. But I mean, that's just the reality of like all the world, right? I mean, just think about what happens in the US, right? Like a mass shooting happens, like what you see and what is broadcasted to the rest of the world. They're like, oh, yo, all this is going down, everything like that. But like you sitting in your home, you're still doing your day-to-day life, like nothing, like your life is still going on like as normal. That's just what media is like made to do and portray. That's why me personally, I like don't watch the news. Like, I mean, whatever I get, like I just get whatever comes into my feed, but like I don't pay too much attention to it because I agree all this shit is just like pushed into us, and like when you're actually like in the moment, is that's not the reality that's being like forecasted whatsoever.
I mean, the business of media is just to incite fear. That's how they make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I I mean the only news I really get because I didn't have like bodies over there that can actually give me information direct like what's actually like happening. It's more so like, talking to you
Did
guys.
you see like any of the firsthand like drug problem though? Like, do you see like
Nah,
people like
no.
yeah, I mean I saw a little bit of that. Like I saw I mean I went like when there was like a wedding going on in my village, but like I mean if you like have your eyes open, you can like kind of see it like the youngsters like going away and like doing stuff and then like coming back and like acting like a way. Like it's not like out in the open that like they make it seem, right? Like I think it's still happening, but it's happening in the background low key.
I mean, yeah, that's the same thing over here. Like, like it's like
Yeah.
weed and shit. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's not happening, but the vibe I got from like just talking to like relatives there and like people there, it's that, yeah, the younger generation is kind of like a little on edge, but most people aren't even staying in Punjab anymore. They're like sending everyone away. Like the only bodies that are left in Punjab are just like old people now. No one's like, it's kind of weird like how it's
But
shifting
that's why
is.
there's a problem too. It's like our identity of Punjabis being in Punjab is going away because everyone's moving out because of how things are. If
Yeah.
that makes sense, they're migrating out.
That and I don't know. The what I was like more so kind of noticing was just I wasn't even thinking about identity or anything like that. It was just more so noticing how things are so exaggerated when it finally reaches us. Because like when I was like reading about Amritpal, like before I even went, I don't know if you guys saw the videos. Like people were like breaking into embassies, like making like shattering glass. I don't know if it was the DC embassy or somewhere else, and they're talking about Khalistan and all of this. Like, and my cousin, like, he's in the Indian Army, and he gave me such a unique perspective. Like, I know, like, we talk about like economics, and I think economics kind of runs like this whole like world, anyways. Like, but if Khalistan were to happen, like, I never thought about how Pakistan would just run us over. The only thing that's keeping like Pakistan at their bay is just like the Indian Army, Indian Army posted up in Kashmir along the borders because like Pakistan is just like exporting terrorism. Like that this is like from my cousin and he's gonna have a biased opinion because in the army and he was like posted up in Kashmir. But I never really thought about that. Like no one like talks about like the looming threat of Pakistan and all of this. They're just like trying to siege back land, but our Punjabi extremist people are like talking about, like Khalistan and all
I
of
mean, I don't
this.
think it's an like personally, I don't think it's an extremist view because we were during the partition, we were promised that land. I'm pretty sure, and then instead of getting that land, we got split. Even Punjab got split into even more parts. Like Punjab
Hmm.
today isn't what it was
Yeah.
like 30, 40 or whatever when the partition happened in the 1940s. Like Himachal Pradesh and what is it, Haryana, right?
Yeah.
Harvey, like that was part of Punjab, and that like what we were promised didn't even happen, and it actually turned on us, and we got split up even more. So I get it, but I don't think it's an extremist view. Like people view it as an extreme because it's like you want to separate from India, but at the end of the day, we were kind of promised that in the first place.
Well, like, yeah, at that time, yes, but like you also kind of have to like take a face value of like the current situation now. Like that's why I think of it as an extreme
The
point of view.
situation is the same as it was back then, though.
What do
It's
you
the
mean?
same thing. The Pakistan India situation was the same back then. They're still fighting for Jammu Kashmir like they were doing back then. The situation never got
But
resolved
why do people want Khalistan right now? Why do you want like what is the main reason of like people pushing for Khalistan now, like in Punjab, like Punjabi people?
because one, we're a minority group in India and we get portrayed badly in the media.
See,
Two,
okay, continue.
two, I just think there's this over personally, I just think that the government favors Hindus over Muslims, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, whatever. And I think the government will always favor Hindus.
See, that's sort of like what I asked my cousin too. Like he's in the army. He's like, yo, like he just talks like in his like Punjabi English language. He's like, yo, that's bloody nonsense, like all this other shit. Like that's all he kept saying. He's like, that is not true at all. Like it's actually very homogenous, like when you think about it. Like maybe he's like seeing it from the military perspective where everyone's like kind of combined. But he was like more so talking about how opportunities are available for Punjabis and everything. Like and for like the lower caste, like even though there is discrimination between caste systems, he's not denying that. That's an old school way of thinking. But he is like, we had a fucking president that was Punjabi, like Manmohan Singh, for like so many years. Like, how can you say like Punjabis are less favored when there's opportunities available for Punjabi people in army, in all these other areas? So like,
Back then, I think it was fine. I think
no, it's still not
recently
Manmohan Singh. Like he was like
Yeah,
saying
but a
that.
lot of Punjabis did not like Mamon Singh too. I mean, they didn't think he was a good representation of our culture and our religion. Okay, we'd like to take a quick break for the sponsor of this episode. This episode is brought to you by Single to Shaadi. Single to Shaadi is a community of marriage-minded singles looking for an alternative to the app scene when it comes to finding a true life partner. They cater specifically to South Asians living and working in the United States or Canada, and their approachable price point and relatability to their clients is what makes Single to Shaadi different. They are not your parents' matchmaker. Use code BrownBoy15 to get 15% off the intro package today. Alright, that's all. Now back to the episode. So like I mean like what's your cousin's like particular like why do like blackouts still happen in Punjab relative to like other parts of like India? Like where they just like extract power like just randomly. And like why does every house in like Punjab require a generator?
Do blackouts not happen in other states?
I don't think they happen in like the major states like Delhi, Mumbai, like the major like the big cities, right? But like what has been said is that like they'll distract power or resources and redirect those to like the bigger cities and then put Punjab in like a blackout.
I was there for 3 weeks. We only like lost power like the last day because there was a storm at night. I didn't even if power did go out, it went out for like maybe 10 minutes. Like I didn't notice, and we were in the pinned, and I'm sure like if it was in Chandigarh or somewhere else, that was not like
There was a
like
blackout. When my dad landed, he had no access to internet until he landed on Saturday. He had no access to internet till Tuesday. He couldn't even call us when he landed. We didn't even know when he landed.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be cases. I'm just giving you like my like whole my experience.
Also, you got to understand, like, I get it. We're seeing it from a different perspective here, but they're also seeing it from a different perspective because the government itself is monitoring the media that they give to their own people. Like, if you think about Russia, right? Just think of Russia. They're not feeding US like propaganda inside those TVs and newspapers, right? You don't get that information until you actually go to Russia and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really think the Indian government is feeding like all this outside Canada, US people being outraged by Khalistan or whatever to their people? No, they're like censoring that. India is probably one of the largest country that censors a lot of information.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I think what my whole perspective that I was like kind of share with you guys is like I thought it was much worse than it actually is. That was it like from people talking to their like Bhagwant Mann or what was his name, whoever's like the dude there, like he made electricity free for all like Punjabi people like in Punjab. Like there has been like, not
Don't
saying there's
people
not.
hate him?
I asked like the people around me and they said like, like he's doing more for like us, like he made electricity free, like my Tayaji likes him and all that. So like I'm just more so talking about the direct like one-to-one conversation I've had with people there. Like I'm sure just like with everything, it's not ideal. Like, there's gonna be cases where like, yeah, can we do better? Of course, like that's like the same case for United States. But I just from this trip, what I learned was like it's what we get is as fucking extremely negative as it can be. But like when I talk to people there, yeah, is there room for improvement? Yep, but it's not as bad as we make it out to be over here. Like I don't know that to me like I never noticed that before while talking to people there until like I talked to people there. I always thought like shit was down bad, like as bad as it could be. Like same with like I went with Paul's situation with like Punjabi people's being neglected through like
You even forgot about like the farmer protests and
yeah,
all that. That should happen
I
also.
asked my my cousin that too, and he was like saying all like the intelligent people, like not intelligent people, like the people that actually understood like macroeconomics, that was actually a good thing. Like he broke it down that I don't have examples. I wish like what he told me I like, still remember, but he told me like in actuality it was actually going to be good for like Punjabi people in the long term, but like people are so scared of like giving up any control they have right now for like you got to have involved with the times like they're kind of scared to evolve, so that's why all those protests happen. But the people that actually understand macroeconomics, it would have been good for like Punjabi people moving forward. I wish I had like the
So what did he
facts.
say? Yeah, what did he
Yeah,
say?
so he was like kind of talking about the market MSRP of like wheat and all of that, like that was going to be removed because I think only Punjab and Haryana have like that law where like yes, we go to a mandi, government's gonna give us X amount of money, and that was good in the first initial ratification of those laws, that was removed. But like Punjabi people bitched and moaned, and then Modi like brought that back, but there was going to be some additional stuff that was like going on that people kind of ignored. They were just like thought, okay, we're giving too much power to the government. Like eventually this is going to come back to like bite us in the ass, which I can understand that concern too. And I'm not sure if this kind of explains like all the other different key points that people had like against for those like farmer protests. But he was just like giving me his perspective on. He was like, at the end of the day, it would have been good for like Punjabi people because we have to evolve with the times. Right now, Keti isn't making shit, so you have to change that. Like if how can you like expect Keti to prosper if you're not willing to evolve with the times? Like that's just like agriculture is not sustainable over there.
The government was making it so big corporations and the government could buy the farmland from these local people.
So like I'm yeah, I wish I had more of like the like breakdown like of like I thought it was like the main issue was like the MSRP like of like wheat and all of that. I'm sure like there's going to be like cases of where you can flip the script about like buying land and all of that, like which I get it, like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates are doing that shit, which is kind of fucked up, like it's just monopolizing land, which I'm against too, but you got to kind of compare both sides of things. So I wish I knew more about it, but like it was like interesting to hear from a perspective of someone was there that's actually Punjabi, that's for like our own people, kind of saying, it would have been actually good for in the long term. And I wish I remember, this was like a drunk conversation, so but I wish I remember like the key points he was telling me, because he was, and it's because in the moment it sounded very valid. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see like how that could be good in the long term, but I can't recite that to you. But what was like, was that like the main thing? I thought it was a market sale price of like wheat, and then land ownership. Is that like another concern for
I thought
Punjabi
land
people?
ownership was like the biggest, one of the bigger concerns, where like corporations would just buy it for cheap and then basically kind of like use that to sell high price crops or whatever to like local people. I thought that was my understanding. However, you might actually know a little bit more about this.
It's been too long. I low key like don't recall exactly. I mean, I know there was like 3 bills in question, or like 3 rule changes or whatever. And yeah, I think where Lucky's going with it, like in terms of like you bring your crop to somebody and you get like just like a flat rate, something like that, played a role. But yeah, I mean, we need to research more.
It was like they were first excluding like the market, like minimum retail price for something, because right now if you go to a mandi, you're gonna get X amount of money no matter what for wheat. That was first being taken away by Modi, but then Modi reinstated that back in addition to like the three, like there was like additional evolution of those laws, but I think people just got so hung up on the initial thing, like they didn't want any fucking change. At least these are the points that I like kind of got back from my cousin, and I'm sure he's biased because like he's in
Yeah,
the Indian Army, but it was just like interesting to hear. Even my Tayaji was like, like they like Modi, they like the Bhagwant Mann, and like free electricity, and then the whole Amrit Paul situation not being as big as it was. It was just like all these things. When I go on Twitter, I just see people that are not in Punjab going above and beyond from like Punjabi people when you're not even in in the Punjab, like in the nitty gritty of it. And
I don't
like,
know. I think people still care, right? Like
I mean, it's not about caring. It's more so about like they're kind of pushing this like agenda when you're not even living there by yourself and like first-handedly experiencing like what's actually going on. And when you're not doing that, like I feel like things kind of get exaggerated either in the positive or in the negative. And but for some reason on media, I feel like the negative kind of gets pushed into us more so than the positive. So that was like something that I just like noticed about the trip. It was just like it's
true.
not as bad as like the media made it seem to be. It's just like the Amrit Paul situation. Like even my parents were on edge about that shit. I'm like, when we went there, and it was like who the fuck is this man? Like,
Maybe you're just on the wrong side of Punjab. Maybe you the ops.
bro, I was all throughout Punjab. Yo, dead ass. I was
Yeah.
I was navigating from like Hushiyarpur to Amritsar to Jalandhar and Chandigarh. Literally
I
didn't
mean, it's
see.
all about, yeah, I mean, it's perspective, and also it's about like how like the lifestyle you have in like India and stuff plays a drastic role. Because I mean, yeah. So like, if you let's look at like for like me, whatever. My parents like they're still like farmers and stuff, but like Jobs's family, like her family in India, they're like very well off, right? Like they're like high up in like politics, they're high up, they own schools, like everything. Like they still have like slaves, you know what I mean? Like they still have like people that like literally like clean, like they'll pick up a glass, yeah, like servants and like come and like clean and like they'll just throw their trash on the ground, like they don't gotta worry about like picking it up, right? That's like, I mean, obviously those people are never gonna say anything bad. Like they are living like fucking kings over there. And like if you have the right financial situation and you're able to live like a king, you're gonna like you're gonna fuck with it. Like you're gonna be like, oh yeah, everything's great here. So I mean, I think it's definitely important to hear all sides of the story. But, like I agree. I still think India like a third world country. Like, is it? Yeah, is it a second? What is it? Like a second world country now? Like, I mean, but like if I go to India, it's like a third. Like to me, Punjab is still probably like a third world country. Like, cause I mean, I'm going from I've seen the perspective of like how Gujarat moves and like Mumbai, and then I'll go to Punjab, and like you're in like the cuts, and like I mean you still have like the sewer system still like on the like side of the road, right? Like there's still a lot of improvement, but day-to-day life, I think yeah, people are happy, but that's also because like I think people are more sadder in the US and all these developed states because have access to like so much of like, oh, what you can have or what you can accomplish. Whereas these people, they don't have as much access and they're just content with like what they have already and they just enjoy life. Like same like you go to any like village in Africa, like most people always say like they'll go and they experience that and like so much the kids and stuff, they just have so much joy. Like people are actually like they take in, they're happy for like the little things that they have and they really appreciate that, whereas here we're not as thankful and as grateful because we always want more. I think that plays a role, and I like, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, there's definitely room for improvement for sure, but I think you also agree with that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just surpassed China and having the most population. It's just like, how do you
Yeah, they
control
did.
1.4 billion people, bro? Like there's just like, not everyone is going to be well off. So like that's also like something you have to consider. Like I'm sure when we like you live in Reading, I live in Philly, Harrisburg and all this other shit. Like those are like kind of decent suburban areas, but like if you go to like another city like Kensington outside of Philly, that shit is like, you know, fucking I don't know, trauma center. So stuff like that, I like also like consider like 1.4 billion people. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the people that are well off are gonna be well off. Like the wage gap, like the wealth gap disparity is going to be very extreme. Like I saw like people just like living under like tarpal or like what do you call tarpal? Like a sheet, like a tent essentially, and that's their home.
But you see that all of India too. You see that in Mumbai, you see that in Delhi, like you see that in like there's poverty everywhere, 100%.
Yeah.
But like the houses in Punjab too, don't get me wrong, like there's some crazy next level like houses too, like in Punjab as well,
Well,
that
yeah,
like have like crazy ass designs, marble, like everything nice, like you know what I mean? Like straight villages like are just like crazy popping in that regard.
yeah. No, I completely agree. It's just it was just
I agree with you. I think like yeah, everything's way too over exaggerated all the time. But that's like anywhere in the world. Like I feel like if you go to India and you ask people like what they see of like America, what they're seeing, they're probably gonna talk some crazy. Oh yeah, there's like a freaking mass shooting like every freaking day. Like what are you guys like scared? Like there's this and that. But like we just are living our day-to-day life. Like we don't take any of this shit into really account.
I agree too, to a certain extent, but I think it's still to the point where it's still a concern, right? You even though it's exaggerated, it's still a concern, if that makes sense.
I think our people will prosper more outside of Punjab. Like just at the end of the day, like the education also lacks. Like I understand you want your like history and roots, but like 300, 400 years down the line, like history's all gonna essentially change.
Yeah, but you still don't want your like kind of like your home place to be uprooted, right? It's kind of like, dude, you see these people in Palestine fighting for like
Are you
land that
gonna go back like when you're like old? Like are you taking your kids back?
I'm going back next year. I know,
No, no,
yeah,
are you taking your kids back? Like say like when you're like 50
yeah, 100%. I have a house there.
not like so
right now.
visiting is different. Like KV, I think you're more so thinking about
Oh, like going
like
back, like living
living. Yeah,
there?
that no like
That and also just visiting. Like, are you gonna actually like go back and like spend like 2 weeks there and like take all your
Yeah,
kids?
visiting is definitely like a thing that I would do easily. It's just of recent I just haven't
But
done it.
like think about it. Like you're gonna be 50, right? You're gonna go back to what? Like, do you talk to like people in Punjab like on the daily? What are you going back
Bro,
to? The gut?
we going back to a house and some farms, and we going to explore Amritsar and
Who's gonna
everything in Punjab.
maintain all that for you? Yeah, you're gonna
We
go and
have
do
someone
you're
maintaining
gonna
it.
do tourist things probably, but there's gonna be no really like. Are you really gonna be like have family there and stuff anymore? Are there anybody like you're gonna be like like still be connected with?
Regardless of being connected or not, we have someone maintaining the house, and we have farm that's out for rent. And then two, yeah, we would go back, but I wouldn't like. I would be going and exploring Punjab. Like I wouldn't put my kids through. Honestly, I don't even mind if you don't have I don't have like anyone there because it gives you more time to explore instead of drink ja, yo. Like going to meet relatives and fucking drink ja. Like I'm not about that life. I'd rather explore. And personally, I haven't explored all of India. I feel like whenever you go to Punjab, right, you go back to your homeland, you only explore Punjab. You don't really you have family in Gujarat, right? But you don't explore like all the south of Punjab, Goa. I've never explored that, so I'm completely down to do that multiple times.
I completely agree with that. I'm going back to India next year for sure. Like I think I like reconnected with my cousin. Like he's like an explorer too. He's like, yo, we're gonna make 1 week for like either Kashmir or Kerala and stuff like that. But I think what Rinku is trying to say is like when you don't really have like a homebody like that's attracting you back to Punjab, like I I don't think there's a problem with visiting. I think the problem is just like the what is it like the care and concern where like you're not even living there, but yet you have such strong opinions about how it should be. You know, that's like essentially what you're talking about. Like you're more concerned about other people's, how do I phrase this? You know how Karens like take up like the problems upon
No, I
themselves for
know.
some.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, where like people of like they're speaking for a different minority. What you know, like Karens are speaking for a different minority.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. But like, I think it's one is different because you're from that part of the world, right? Two, yeah, I might not
You're
live there.
from the United States. Calm down.
No, like your family. I mean, like
You're
your
born and raised here.
I meant your family's from that part of the world, right? So like
Yeah.
that's your roots, right? Two, it's your people, right? You guys are Harvey. How many times have you went to farmer protests in the U.S., right?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
like
it's like
you have a sense of pride. I get
you have a
that.
pride and you have
Um,
care. I'm not saying I'm over here
but
being
for
like a
me, I mean, yeah,
extremist, but
I will like yeah, I mean I stand up for my people and stuff. Like I mean, like this goes back to like you going to the Gurdwara. Like it's just a sense of comfortability. You go and you're attracted to the comfortability at the end of the day. Like I'm comfortable around my people. I'm able to relate to my people. I'm ready to like laugh about like things. I'm allowed to like connect about this music, connect about this. Like these things, like yeah, it gets you amped up because like that's you. I mean, yeah, that's your parents. Like I'm a Sikh Punjabi, like blah blah blah. Like I don't know.
yeah. So in
But
50 years, would you want to go to Punjab where there's not that many Punjabis? Would you want to go back to with your kids? Would you want to go to Punjab where there's not that many Punjabis even
I
living
mean,
there
as
anymore?
long as there's still Amritsar and there's still all that kind of stuff, all the Gurdwaras and stuff in Tiger, yeah, I would still probably go because at that point now, it's just a tourist attraction.
Do you want it to become like a straight tour, like a Taj Mahal type of situation?
Probably not, but I don't know. I
But
mean,
what are you guys holding on to though? Like that's my question. Like what all you guys like what is the essence that you want to preserve? If you think like, you know, it's down bad, there needs to be some change and the change is like people going outside. Like
I'm not trying to preserve anything, honestly speaking. I'm totally cool because like I mean, like, yeah, it's cool to go back, but like if I see Punjab just go complete route and like we are able to like offspring in like different areas, I'm all for that. Bro, I mean, I'm just like so like broad spectrum because like all this shit really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like all this like stuff, this culture, religion, it's all stuff that mankind has like created. It's all fantasy. Like it's not real. Everybody's like just made it up. They had this belief and they passed along these like cultures, they passed along these tendencies and then created these sects, these cults, these religions. And like now, like these like things go like have passed along. But if you really look at it, like we're all just human beings, just be a decent human person and like just keep moving along in life. But at the end of the day, like you need something to relate on, like people like Eagles fans, like you're connecting with like people like things that connect. So like, I mean, like don't get me wrong, like I mean, I'm getting OCI, like I'm gonna be a dual citizen, but like there's other advantages for me to become an OCI, right? Like I don't know if I'll go back. Like I'll probably go back to like visit Amritsar and stuff, but like I don't think anything really attracts me back to like going to Punjab.
I mean, I don't care in terms of like, oh, people just migrating to migrate or whatever. But I think where I do care is if our people get oppressed by like the Indian government or something. Like then it's like, you know, like a 1984 situation. If that happens, like something like that, you're telling me you wouldn't care about that?
I mean, that of course, like I think that's just like, you're gonna that's it's not about caring about the people, it's just caring about injustice. And
That's just
I
being a
th-
decent human
yeah, I
being. That
think
shouldn't happen.
people like the way I look about it is people are gonna do whatever they're gonna do to survive. And right now, like if surviving means like you export your culture out to like Australia, Spain, Italy, US, Canada, so be it, because you're just gonna have like close-knit communities there. What what you have in Punjab, you have in fucking the Gurdwara here. Like what like outside of farming, like it's more so about just family, like talking to
No, I get
people.
that.
So like I don't like, and talking about like like I understand your point of view, KB, but I think you also have to consider how much like effort that is to like kind of preserve the type of thing that you're trying to preserve. Like it's easier to say like I'll go back, I want to keep the roots like there, like I want the roots to like still grow and still be planted over there, but to like you gotta think about watering that shit. There's a lot more effort than just saying I'm gonna go back with my 50, go drive around in scooters.
I think we're
That's
saying
just
the
like,
same thing. Like, I feel like you guys are just misunderstanding. I'm just saying I care if something happens to our people, like a 1984 situation, to an extreme situation. Otherwise, I think it's dope if people migrate and stuff. I feel like you guys are just misunderstanding me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, our people shouldn't go like experience a genocide again. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
but like that's also just like mankind. Like we shouldn't do that to other races.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even though, like, I'm saying, my whole point was, like, even though it's exaggerated in the media today here, it's still of concern where it could lead to something like of 1984 eventually because of all the uproar and stuff. I feel like that's why there's also more exaggeration because people are trying to prevent that from ever happening again.
yeah. I mean, there's concerns everywhere, but I definitely understand. Like, I mean, I have concerns about the United States. I have concerns about Punjab, but like at the same time, I also realize like things are just gonna happen, and our people are just gonna figure it out on the fly. And we we're literally just I forget what that Diljit movie 1984, like when Babaji like made that quote, is like, Punjabi people, we just know how to rise from the ashes. So like I don't have concern about Punjabi people at all. Like I just feel like we go unnoticed, but yet we still thrive. But the whole conversation with this, like why I wanted to like have this conversation was more so just talk about like how negative stuff is pushed more in our throat that even I got kind of conditioned to. I'm like, yo, they're doing us down bad, which I'm sure they are to some capacity, but it's not as like extreme as Twitter makes it out to be, at least for me. Even though like it's pretty like self-explanatory, pretty straightforward, that don't take everything that's on the internet. It was just like a good gentle reminder that like, unless you're really there, just like kind of take everything with a grain of salt to some degree.
Yeah, it's nice hearing like that firsthand experience.
You guys wanna do songs of the week real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, I'll go first. So I don't know if you guys know Raghav. He has a new song with Tesher, but I'm gonna bring it back to one of his old songs.
this man.
Uh, Can't Get Enough, Raghav.
Okay. All right. Mine's gonna be Tegi Panu and Money Music, meant to be.
Mine's gonna be Double Fantasy with Future the weekend.
What fantasy?
Double Fantasy.
Shit, I haven't listened to that yet.
Well, Weekend's creating his own fucking show. HBO should probably fire.
Word. All right. This has been another episode of Brown Book Chronicles. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you for watching the Brown Boy Chronicles. We appreciate all the support you guys give us. All of our episodes can be found on every streaming platform. If you guys want to follow us on any social media, it can be found in the episode description. Also, if you guys have any business inquiries, please feel free to email us at brownboychronicles1@gmail.com. Thank you.